Why secret sins can drive you crazy, why buying antique items can lead to a curse, and should you be wary of people who are depressed? You will find the answers to these questions in this video. For many centuries, people have been most afraid of meeting spirits because they could enter the human body and take control not only of the shell, but also of the human mind. Dybbuk, or in Hebrew clinging, is an evil spirit of a dead sinner. If during his life a person committed serious crimes, his soul will lose the ability to reincarnation, that is, to resettlement, and therefore forever subjected to torment and wandering around the world without willpower. The soul that has not received a proper burial turns into a demon. That is why such spirits seek to find a new vessel for themselves, as which they are attracted to the physical shells of people. The Dybbuk originally appeared in Jewish folklore. Jews believed that being lazy in religious practices or doubting religion itself were ways of leaving oneself open to evil spirits. Within Judaism, there is a religious, mystical, occult, and esoteric current, the Kabbalah. In the Kabbalistic tradition, a restless soul can become a Dybbuk and latch onto a living person to settle its unfinished business. Some myths say that Dybbuks escaped from Gehenna, which is equivalent to hell. But at the time, others say that the Dybbuks were categorically denied entry into fiery purgatory for committing serious crimes such as suicide. Dybbuk has its origins in the ancient scriptures, where there are many references to spirits interfering with people. Often these references are treated as incidental, very careless, as if spirit possession was completely commonplace. Perhaps an evil Dybbuk belonged to King Saul at a time when he was undergoing spiritual degeneration. The Old Testament describes spirit attachment in the book of Samuel, stating, "And it came to pass the next day that an evil spirit from God came upon Saul. It was through the soothing music that David played that the spirit was freed from its attachment to the king." The biblical book of Kings tells of the prophet Elijah facing possession by a dark spirit manipulator. Elijah was possessed by the spirit of a dead man who wanted to trick the king into going to war. Many Jews believe in the existence of Dybbuks even today. About them wrote in modern books, this evil often appeared in the movies The Unborn, The Casket of Curses, Dybbuk. Here's what Henry Land Oldie wrote about this dark creature in Asylum of Heroes. A Dybbuk, otherwise a psycho-twin, is, in the lingo, a molder. In search of shelter, Dybbuk burrows into the human body, but hides and rarely climbs out, unlike active spirits, which Pokemon possessed as they wish. In 2003, there was a story about a Dybbuk box, an evil spirit box brought to the United States by a Polish Holocaust survivor who fled to Spain. It was there that he acquired this strange object. In fact, it was not a box at all, but a wine cabinet. Many years later, the granddaughter of the same Pole sold this very box at an estate sale to the writer and collector of antiques, Hidden Manis. It must be admitted, the girl warned Manis that in her family about the box are the most terrible legends. They hid it in the far room and never opened, so she is ready to gladly give it almost for nothing. But the writer, it did not frighten at all. Even on the contrary, this mystical halo ignited interest in the purchase. But only in the beginning. Once Manis brought the wine cabinet home and opened it, inside he found two 1920s pennies, a bandaged lock of blonde hair, a bandaged lock of dark hair, a small statue engraved with the word Shal, a gold wine goblet, a dried rosebud, and a candlestick. From then on, the writer was haunted by nightmares. But Manis decided that it was just a consequence of the girl's scary stories combined with his impressionability, and decided to give the item to his mother. The very next night, she suffered a stroke. The writer put his Dybbuk box on eBay, intrigued by the ominous story, and naturally, buyers were found immediately, only they changed as quickly. All owners of this thing noted that they began to suffer nightmares, choking and coughing attacks, and nights in the room constantly smelled of jasmine and cat urine. Some have seen strange flashes of light, some have heard strange noises at night, and some have even had their hair fall out. Jason Haxton, its last owner, claimed to have health problems and strange scarring on his body, as well as coughing up blood. It was Haxton who eventually took the cursed box to paranormal experts and religious leaders to have it resealed. Once the entity was tightly sealed, Haxton buried it. He kept the location secret for years, hoping to find out the truth and find the right person to help. That's how the wine cabinet ended up in the possession of Zach Bagans, a paranormal researcher. In June 2018, rapper Post Malone visited Bagans at his haunted museum in Las Vegas. At this museum, Zach hosted a new exhibit, a spooky Dybbuk box. After a couple beers, Bagans showed Post Malone the box without its protective cover. Bagans touched the box, and then Post Malone grabbed Bagans' shoulder and screamed. The consequences of this event did not give themselves a long time to wait. In the summer of 2018, rapper Post Malone suffered a series of serious setbacks. His private jet nearly crashed in August, and in September, another driver crashed his Rolls-Royce, and he was the victim of a botched armed robbery. Bagans suspects that it was during that terrible event that the Dybbuk became attached to the rapper. So what kind of demon is this, and why is it so worth fearing? Dybbuk is the one about whom it is safe to say he is in active search. But the notorious other half, he obviously will not suit. He needs the whole person, in order to get into him and, of course, to begin to get naughty. A person in whom the Dybbuk has taken possession shows aggression towards others, can harm himself, his body may shake, as in epilepsy, his face is distorted. He may start speaking in an incomprehensible language, spewing curses and other inappropriate speech. But that's not the worst of it. The Dybbuk can drive people to insanity. When a person's spirit and body are not connected and acting in unison, they can fall victim to a Dybbuk. Dybbuks prey on the weak or mentally ill. It is believed that people who suffer from depression, psychosis, or who regularly use mind-altering drugs are a favorable environment for Dybbuks. Once inside a person, the Dybbuk becomes extremely evil and aggravates any pre-existing conditions. It can drive its victim even deeper into despair until they fall into madness. Exorcising the Dybbuk is difficult and dangerous, both for the rabbi and exorcist, and for the family members surrounding him at that moment. During the ritual, the death of the possessed person may occur, and then the Dybbuk becomes possessed in the person standing next to him. The main difficulty is to agree with Dybbuk on the terms on which he will agree to leave the captured body. The complex ritual of exorcism prescribes reading Bible verses backwards, blowing a shofar, goat horn, and repeating in Hebrew, Tzalai, T Dybbuk, be gone, Dybbuk. The expelled Dybbuk leaves the body of its victim through a small toe. In this case, a tiny bleeding wound appears on the toe. It is by its presence that one determines whether the Dybbuk has come out or not. But there is no need to panic. Pious citizens are ensured against inadvertently not to pick up Dybbuk. The spirit is allotted only in the one who has committed a sin. Therefore, do not be mediocre about their actions, because who knows what other antique thing can keep an evil spirit and how soon it can get to a person who does not give himself an account of his actions. If it was interesting, subscribe to our channel. Put a like and write in the comments about which mythical creature you want to know more. And remember, all myths and legends are just stories that appeared in ancient times and have come down to us through many generations. To believe in them or not is everyone's choice.